for joining me on another episode of Taking a Merry Break. And we were in the middle of a fantastic series that I just get so excited about on the evolution of Norma Jean into Marilyn Monroe. And today we're in episode 2, where we're really diving in about her modeling career, how it came to be, kind of right place, right time. And I am calling this Picture This. So it's really fun to think that in her modeling career, um, this couldn't have been planned if you tried, that it was just an ordinary day at work and everything just fell where it was supposed to go. And it really began the domino effect of the iconic Marilyn Monroe. So before embarking on her illustrious acting career as the actress Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean actually began as a model for Blue Book Modeling Agency. It was one of the biggest in Los Angeles during that era, and her striking appearance caught the attention of numerous photographers, yielding a provision of magazine covers and ads. So, photographer Laszlo Willinger actually recalled her distinct ability to transform in front of the camera. It was a trait which sets a great model apart. He was quoted saying that she was a very good model. I had her on easily 100 magazine covers. Her and her figure was well known long before she became Marilyn Monroe. When she saw the camera, any camera, she lit up and was totally different the moment the shot was over. She fell back into her not very interesting position. I don't know how to explain that, but that's what makes a good model. So now, as a reminder, we're actually back in late 1944. Norma Jean had recently married Jimmy Daughtry, in which he had joined the Merchant Marine and left overseas. She had moved in with her in laws, and she decided to begin working to help the war effort. And in fact, she would always reminisce about her time there throughout her life, once saying that it was the radio plane company, and I had my first job inspecting parachutes. That was before I worked in what's called the dope room. Now, that was the hardest work that I've ever done. The fuselage and various parts of the ships were made of cloth. And at that time, they use metal now, and we used to paint the cloth with a stiffening preparation. It wasn't sprayed on, it was worked in with brushes, and it was very tiring and difficult, very hard to take for 8 hours a day. It was actually a 12-hour day for the other workers, but I only did 8 hours because I was underage. So once that had happened, Norma Jean is working at the radio plane company. Now, keep in mind, this is a chance encounter with Private David Conover. Now, this occurs, and he has actually got a project going on. Remember, he works for the Army's Pictorial Center in Hollywood. So he was sent to photograph women contributing to the war effort. And he was also noted as saying that I moved down the assembly line taking shots of the most attractive employees, and none were especially out of the ordinary. I came to a pretty girl putting on propellers and raised the camera to my eye. She had curly ash blonde hair, and her face was matched with dirt. I snapped her picture and walked on. Then I stopped, astounded. She was beautiful, half child, half woman. Her eyes held something that touched me and intrigued me. Now, this marked a turning point for David in his career. It also marked a turning point for Norma Jean, of course, in hers. Now, remember, Norma Jean is still Norma Jean Daughtry. So David shows his photos to a commercial photographer by the name of Potter Huth. Her first deal is made, and Potter makes it clear that she would only get paid if magazines bought photos that he took of her. The fee was only $5 to $10 an hour, and it's agreed that she is going to work at the radio plane during the day, and she would do photo shoots at night in the evenings. So she was working at the time. She worked 7 nights a week, and she would even tell George Barris in 1962, a friend, designer, and builder of Hollywood custom cars, that she had secretly always wanted to be a photographer's model. Potter Huth. Now, Potter Huth is now also stunned at Norma Jean's beauty. And he decides to show the photographs to a person by the name of Emmeline Snively. Emmeline Snively is the person who ran the Blue Book modeling agency. And again, this was the biggest model agency in Los Angeles. And Emmeline is now going to meet with Norma Jean. So you can see the traction. The traction starts happening towards Norma Jean's modeling career. She actually makes an appointment with the Blue Book modeling agency, and Emmeline Snavely is going to run the interview. This is not typical. She normally had someone else do it, but she is also so intrigued by Norma Jean, she wants to do this herself. And it's even been said that Norma Jean had mentioned that she couldn't even sleep the night before because she was aware that this could make or break her career before it even started. And if she didn't like her then, it would have been the end of her modeling career. So before it even started, Norma Jean calls in sick from her day job the day of the interview. She is 19 years old. She's still married to James Daughtry. Now, at this point, her marriage was strained and they were already thinking about a divorce. So Norma Jean actually writes to her husband, and this just really fascinates me because it's harsh. And I feel for James in this because I truly believe James loved her. You know, as I had mentioned in my other episode, James said, you know, when an interviewer asked him, what was it like married to Marilyn, knowing Marilyn, loving Marilyn? And his response was, I didn't know Marilyn. I didn't love Marilyn. I wasn't even married to Marilyn. I knew, loved, and married Norma Jean. So, with that said, Norma Jean is actually writing to her husband, explaining that she did not love him anymore, that she had had a chance for a career as a model, and that she wanted the freedom to pursue her career. And that's when she asked for a divorce. Now, he, of course, is still overseas. He writes back asking her if she could wait until he returned to see if they could patch things up because he thought it was worth a shot. She says no, because she knew her marriage was over at that point in her life and a career was more important. So she wanted to become an actress more than ever, and she had thought modeling would be the break that she needed. So now it's the day of the interview, and Emmeline met her and recognized the makings of a great model, and which she told her. But here's the thing. She said that she would need to go to modeling school, which of course was through the Blue Book modeling agency. Problem is that at that point, Norma Jean could not afford this. She was still struggling. And so she makes a deal allowing her to pay her modeling school fees with various jobs that she would be given. Now, later, Emmeline also recalls that when she first saw her, she remembered that she was a clean-cut, American, wholesome girl, and that's what caught her attraction. So now Norma Jean's taking the modeling classes, and she is one of the hardest working models in the class, demonstrating an extraordinary ambition to succeed. She was quick to learn, she was receptive to feedback, and she worked diligently to improve her modeling skills, even after a rocky start, because she had no background. They taught her from day one. So, with that, during this period, um, she started working as an exhibit hostess at what's called the Los Angeles Home Show. Now, during this period, she started work as an exhibitor for 10 days, $10 each day. And it was just enough for her to pay all of her modeling lessons. Now, her next modeling session, the job did not quite go as planned because she was fired. Reason why she was fired, when she had put the costume on that she was supposed to wear, they said that she had an unusual amount of sex appeal, and they didn't like that. So she was fired for her body image. Now, her growing popularity led to ramped up demands for photos, especially in bathing suits. And these successors were tempered with a setback when a job, and this is what I love about Norma Jean, because we see her tenacity kick in, we see her spunk kick in, because this does not bother Norma Jean in the least. In fact, it really lights a fire under her because now she has the tenacity and the determination to make things happen. So time passes, and Norma Jean quits her job at the factory. She decides to begin modeling full time. She's attending all of her modeling classes. She is studying photographs of herself, even making notes of how that she can improve. Now, she would pose for hours in the mirror. She would ask photographers of the jobs that actually got her fired to go back and why and how she could improve, and multiple questions beyond that. And this really began wanting to launch her career because they could see how hard she was trying and how much she was improving. So she would never make the same mistakes again. She was very good at correcting herself. She was even noted as saying that they started putting me in bathing suits all of a sudden, and I became popular with photographers wanting to work with me. They said I knew how to take direction. I began having lots of location assignments, and it was like I had been discovered. I was in great demand for bathing suit pictures. So she began to receive all those modeling jobs. The increase in the photo shoots is happening. It's leading to those numerous appearances on those magazine covers and those ads. And now Emmeline Snavely is encouraging Norma Jean that she should dye her hair blonde. So she told her once that if you expect to go places, you have got to be a blonde. Interesting fact, though, is that first, Norma Jean did not want to be a blonde. She refused it completely. She felt it wouldn't be natural, and she wanted to stay true to herself. But Emmeline keeps working on her, and she convinced her that the fact that the photographer Raphael Wolf would actually pay for the bleaching. So this goes back and forth, and she finally agreed to do it. So now they cut her hair short in the upsweep that we know and love. When she first dyes her hair, she actually said that she had looked in the mirror and it just wasn't the real me. They had converted me to a golden blonde at first, and I couldn't get used to myself. So Emmeline was right. Once Marilyn changed her hair color, it was like night to day. All of a sudden, her jobs began pouring in, especially cheesecake photos. Now, she began appearing in countless magazines, especially men's. She was on the covers, on the ads. It was also noted that Lydia Badero Reed, who worked for the Blue Book agency, said that Howard Hughes, the Howard Hughes, would see pictures on the cover of a magazine and found himself very interested in her. Once word actually got out to Ben Lyon, and Ben Lyon was the 20th Century Fox talent agent at that time. So Howard Hughes and Ben Lyon know each other, and they decide that they are interested in giving Norma Jean a Technicolor screen test, not even caring if she had prior acting experience. And this was clearly the beginning into her acting career. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Picture This. And I also want to remind all of you that no matter what you do, I want you to be kind because we don't know what anyone is going through. And let's make a difference. Let's pay it forward and make this world a better place because that's really all we have is each other. Guys, I look forward to dropping next week's episode that you're going to absolutely love. I hope all of you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you soon. As always, this is